Welcome everybody back. I hope they had a little snack, and we are going to start our second round. First round went well. We're going to keep the 5-minute slots, and Liberals got the first up, and for 5 minutes, Mr. Sheehan, you got the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank all the witnesses that have been so deeply immersed in supporting our steel industry and our workers. We heard testimony last week that from the actual, from Oklahoma Steel, from my riding, from Tenaris, from my riding in Calgary, that they were thankful for the swift and forceful response. And one of the, Kellyanne Ghosh had mentioned that Oklahoma Steel has applied for the Strategic Innovation Fund. And my question will be to Paul Haluka. What's the uptake, without getting into details that you cannot get into, but is there uptake from other steel and aluminum players? I mean, Oklahoma Steel employs many people and is 40% of the GDP of Sault Ste. Marie, and if Oklahoma Steel hurts, a lot of times the smaller SMEs hurt as well. So the two questions that I have are, what's the uptake on SIF? Is there a special carve-out of money for SIF? And the importance of supporting the larger players through the SIF program as it relates to SMEs as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's a really good set of questions. Let's start off by saying that the key thing we need to remember on all of this is that the focus of the U.S. policy, stated, is to enable the American plants to reopen. I mean, that has been the focus, in particular on the steel side, but also on aluminum. So the target from day one from them is Canadian and other competitive producers, and so it's no surprise then that we calibrated our support to focus on the companies that were going to be the most impacted, and then frankly, if we lost them, if they lost their competitive advantage, would have significant impacts. It would be effectively would be the same as the U.S. policy succeeding, and secondly, every one of those large plants is in an ecosystem of small and medium-sized companies that depend on their market relationship with them, either selling to them or buying from them. So if you look at, steel industry basically has about 3 commodity markets. They sell into oil and gas, they support construction, and then they support the auto industry. And obviously, as Ailish had talked about a moment ago, a key part of the successful free trade agreement was actually maintaining our strong auto footprint in Canada, and steel and aluminum are intimately linked into that ecosystem. The carve-out was $250 million. That was what was announced, and it was designed to basically focus on those large providers. So hence, as the earlier question, that was why we put the limit on 200 or above in terms of the size, and then a project of $10 million above, which is I believe is the standard actually SIF size project for any capital investment. The take-up has been very good. I mean, we didn't announce on July 1st and then disappear for the summer. We actively engaged with those companies. We've been administered in a number of roundtables in Hamilton. I've been to I've regular and ongoing discussions with all of the companies that are putting in applications. I think our turnaround time in terms of responding to their questions, both on the statement of interest and then now most of them are in the application stage, has been less than 24 hours. So we have made this a top priority because we recognize that, I mean, SMEs are definitely bleeding as a result of this, and that has been a consequence of the tariffs. But some of the larger companies are losing like millions of dollars every day and tens of millions of dollars every month. So the amount that they're paying out in the tariffs is extraordinary. If we lose them, if they don't make their capital investments this year, if they don't invest in innovation, if they don't invest for the future of their companies, it becomes very easy to get into a downward spiral where they don't invest this year, then they don't invest next year. And again, going back to what the objectives are of the U.S. policy, it is to have those companies effectively not be competitive and then sooner or later not exist, and then enable that repatriation to the U.S. market. So we have made a really principal primordial focus to ensure that we support those companies.
Paul, you mentioned that the steel prices have grown extraordinarily.
You just have a half a minute, so.
Okay. You mentioned the steel prices have grown extraordinarily. Recently, when Tracy and other folks were down in Washington, one of our messages were, hey, these tariffs are going to result on Americans, an American tax. You're going to be paying more for your steel. Could that be part of what's happening in the market?
It's very difficult to distinguish between the effects of the tariffs and the effects of the higher prices. I would absolutely agree with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Machine. And we're going